Part 20. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 191. Tao Ran didn't care too much about Wang Shu and Zhou Qingqing's dog-eating incident. She still put almost all her energy into studying. But even if she didn't care, she soon discovered that Zhou Qingqing's life was a little better. He was no longer chased around the campus, no longer hiding from XZ, and he could chew gum with ease even when arriving late and leaving early. Wang Shu, on the other hand, became more and more silent and low-key. He was even pointed at and scolded by Zhou Qingqing several times, but the sharp gleam in his eyes gradually disappeared. Why are the two of them upside down? Tao Ran found Lu Hua again and asked him why. Lu Huaji sighed. Father Wang's leg is disabled. No matter how famous the name Dao brother was, it is useless now. Wang Shu can't be the same as before. His family's conditions are not good. His father needs to see a doctor and the family has to pay for expenses. He has to take care of the family, so the pressure is all on Wang Shu. But that's not the point. The main thing is that little sister Zhou Qingqing. Lu Hua grinned at his teeth. You don't know, right? Wang Shu chased her to settle a score before, but she got scared and turned around and found a big backer. Do you know the little bully Niu Tian who walked out of our school? Tao Ran shook his head. Chen Yi is a good girl, who knows this? Niu Yishan was also a popular figure in our school, much more ruthless than Wang Shu. He didn't finish junior high school, and later he dropped out of school to hang out. In the past 2 years, I heard that he has already entered this number. Lu Hua gestured with his hands. He often plays around our school. Zhou Qingqing was once blocked by Wang Shu for debts, so she jumped over the wall and begged him. The girl is good looking and rich, and she has a brother. She has to protect her every day. I heard that Zhou Qingqing gave him 5,000 as a treat the day he recognized his brother. As a result, the next day, Wang Shu was surrounded and beaten severely. Niu Yishan flirted with Wang Shu and asked Wang Shu to either wipe out his previous grudges with Zhou Qingqing, or to have people surround him every day and disturb his family. Wang Shu is no longer what he used to be, and Brother Dao's brothers can't protect his family every day. There is no other way, so Wang Shu can only accept it. This means that Ma Xiaozu will not get back the money she admitted she owed before. Pity. So now, Zhou Qingqing has become Niu Yishan's god sister, and she is extremely arrogant. With the cow covering her all day long, no matter how many people in the school dislike her, they don't dare to touch her. Now she is a completely fake and powerful little girl. Tao Ran was speechless. Very speechless. Zhou Qingqing, she really likes to play with gangsters. If anything goes wrong, she can always ask gangsters to help her solve it. From Wang Shu, her father, to Niu Yishan now, she really lives up to her family's pedigree. Bloodline. Thinking of this, Tao Ran couldn't help but curl his lips. She has always felt that not only Zhou Qingqing, but Chen Qiao also seemed to be a bit of a rogue. That boy was not like the elegant Chen Jian, but more impulsive and evil-looking, more like the one named Zhou. She had never seen someone named Zhou before and didn't think so, but after the last time, she felt that Chen Qiao's appearance and temperament, haha. Therefore, without intending to alert the enemy, after waiting for 2 months for an opportunity, Ma Xiaozu cut Chen Qiao's nails last week and was finally caught by Tao Ran. Tao Ran wrapped up the nails in the trash can and sent them to an appraisal agency. Tao Ran couldn't quietly get the body tissues of Zhou's father or Zhou Qingqing, and she didn't plan to go to Chenjian rashly, so what she compared with Chen Qiao's nails were a few drops of Chen Yi's blood. She just wanted to see if Chen Yi and Chen Qiao were related by blood. 1 day later, the identification results came out. As expected, Chen Qiao and Chen Yi have no blood relationship. In other words, Chen Jian's head is green. This is good news. Not only because Ma Xiaozu was caught, but also because future actions will not be restricted by blood ties. Tao Ran tore up the appraisal, knowing the result was enough. Chen Xiao is the clear evidence and cannot be escaped. But now, she doesn't plan to expose it. Otherwise, if Ma Xiaozu cannot remain stable, everything will be turned upside down. It is impossible for me to not go to school every day and follow them. Before the high school entrance examination, the main thing is to maintain stability. In the blink of an eye, another 2 months have passed. End of first semester. Tao Ran has lost weight to 108 and has grown 1 centimeter in height. Now her body shape is considered standard. The acne on my face has completely disappeared, and my round face has become an oval face. Because I have done enough whitening and sunscreen work, my skin tone has become several degrees whiter. After her delicate eyebrows are revealed, teachers and classmates are often confused. Is this fair and beautiful woman in front of them still the fat girl in their memories? Everyone admired her perseverance. On the day when the semester ended, Tao Ran unexpectedly found a box of chocolates and 3 love letters in her desk. Tao Ran performed well in the final exam, ranking 4th in the class and in the top 30 in the grade. He was praised by Principal Cai and became a role model again. On the contrary, Zhou Qingqing was named and criticized again as a negative teaching material. Although Wang Shu no longer troubled her, her mind was no longer on studying. Anyway, she doesn't want to go to school, and the company doesn't have her share, so she might as well get a diploma and become an internet celebrity. The brothers all said that she is so beautiful, she will definitely be popular. Therefore, being jealous of Chen Yi and knowing that it would be difficult to catch up with her stepsister, she simply broke out and took another path. She was originally young and lovely, but she painted her face with makeup and powder, which concealed her youth and made her look more gaudy. But she is very satisfied with such a mature change. She was running rampant in the school, and even had several schoolgirls at her beck and call. She smoked and fought, and she became the center of attention of the teachers and students in the school in another way. The former class beauty became the school bully, which was unbelievable and kept away from others. Zhou Qingqing's eyes when looking at Chen Yi were still sharp, and he never concealed his strong and rolling hatred. Tao Ran is not afraid of her either. When she was in school, Chen Jian or the driver would pick her up every day. She would be protected by teachers when she went to school. When she got home, the surveillance would be on, so Zhou Qingqing had no chance to do anything to her. So as soon as the winter vacation came, Tao Ran cheered up, fearing that Zhou Qingqing would attack him if he had a backer and helpers. For this reason, Tao Ran specifically asked the driver of the black car to follow Zhou Qingqing every day. When she went out, she asked the driver of the black car to follow her from a distance to protect her and call the police if anything went wrong. She even put a high-resolution video recorder owned by Chen Yi in the black car. Yes, she directly booked a black car for the winter vacation. She has money. This money can be regarded as earned by herself. In the last few days of summer vacation, she spent almost 1,000 yuan every day. Although there are 200,000 yuan in bank deposits, 1 day's interest is not enough to buy a cup of milk tea. What a loss. Feeling distressed. So she begged Chen Jian to open an account for her in his name at a securities company, saying that she wanted to learn to invest and buy stocks. Chen Jian was brainwashed by her eloquent talk about cultivating business acumen, and after she promised that only buying long-term stocks would not affect his studies and was supervised by him, he actually did it for her. Tao Ran thought that the next time this deposit would be used, it would most likely only be during the winter vacation. The winter holidays are in January and February, which is exactly the year before. At that time, the prices will rise the most. She thought of liquor stocks. So, at the end of the summer, all her 200,000 yuan was spent on liquor stocks. After that, she left it alone. Now look at it, in half a year, 200,000 has become 240,000, and it is still rising. Tisk tisk. She cashed it out directly and made a net profit of 40,000 yuan. This amount of money is enough for her to keep an eye on her until she graduates from the 3rd grade of junior high school. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 192. During the Chinese New Year, Chen Jian took 7 days off and took the old lady home to live there for 7 days. Ma Xiaozu did her best to do her duty as a daughter-in-law, and Zhou Qingqing also served as a filial daughter at home for a period of time. The previously tense family relationship has eased slightly, but there is also something indescribably weird about it. Chen Jian knew that Zhou Qingqing's academic performance was already at the bottom, so he once asked her about her future plans. "I'm definitely not as good as my sister. I'm not in high school anymore. I plan to work, and an agency has taken a fancy to me. I plan to sign a contract with them after I graduate from junior high school." Only in front of Chen Jian and the old lady, Zhou Qingqing showed no trace of hostility. The winter vacation has passed again, and everything is so peaceful and peaceful. Nothing happened. The driver of the black car didn't see anything, and neither Ma Xiaozu nor Zhou Qingqing had any trouble. Tao Ran was afraid that this was the calm before the storm was about to come, so he did not dare to take it lightly. After Zhou's father appeared during the summer vacation last year, he never appeared in the city or around Ma Xiaozu and her daughter again. No one harassed him, and Tao Ran was happy to be stereotyped. She only occasionally thought that the other party would definitely not let her go. After holding it in for so long, it must be a big move, right? If she were Zhou Qingqing, when would she choose and what method would she use to destroy herself? All her previous plans failed. She will definitely have a plan this time, right? The last semester of the 3rd year of junior high school has begun, and the students who are striving to make progress are seizing the last 4 months. Monthly exams, midterm exams, and monthly exams again, and 3 more months passed in the blink of an eye. Everything remains calm. Tao Ran stabilized her grades between 3 and 5, and her class teacher also placed high hopes on her. Tao Ran worked super hard. She is not only trying to fight for a good school for Chen Yi, she is also trying to set an example for Chen Yi. She just wanted to show Chen Yi how she, who had no sensitivity to mathematics, worked hard to solve difficult problems one after another. In mathematics, she really tried her best. In addition to finding a famous teacher to gain enlightenment, she was not very good at drawing inferences from one instance to other cases. She chose the tactic of asking questions and forced herself to improve. When you practice similar types of questions carefully 5, 10, or more times, you will naturally become familiar with them. Once some ideas are imprinted in the mind, not only will the problem be solved easily, but there will be more ways to solve it. This principle is similar to other subjects such as English and Chinese. Read foreign language newspaper articles for half an hour every day. Over the course of a year, they will create context. If you encounter a grammar question again, your sense of language will help you choose the correct answer. When it comes to reading comprehension, even if the sentences are awkward, you can still make a guess. With her energy, despite her hard work, she could still only stay in the top 10 in the class in math. She might not be able to solve the big questions at the end of every exam. She relied entirely on her Chinese and English scores. She tried to make up for her weaknesses by learning from each other's strong points, but her overall ranking kept going up, and her scores got better every time. Her grades from the bottom a year ago have actually risen to the point where she is qualified to compete in one of the best high schools in the city and the top 5 in the province. She just wanted to tell Chen Yi that in life, even if the starting point is not enough, as long as you work hard enough, you can definitely narrow the gap. Just like Chen Yi's youth, although it is difficult, as long as people persist, work hard, grit their teeth and never give up, there will be no threshold that cannot be overcome and no problem that cannot be solved. So these words were what she said when she was invited to the stage by the principal at the mobilization meeting before the high school entrance examination. As an academic champion who rose from a poor student, Chaoran is very happy that her efforts can inspire more classmates. Life is precious, cherish the moment, move forward with all your strength, and live up to your youth. Her remarks elicited much genuine applause. When she came off the stage, she met Joe Kinking's eyes in the crowd. The other party was actually applauding and smiling brightly, which made Chaoran feel a little nervous. After getting the same results, she reached the third place in the class for the first time. The second model is still third in the class. By this time, no one dared to question her ability. From Han Mingli to Chen Jian, they all encouraged her and told her to just calm down and perform stably in the high school entrance examination. There was still a week before the high school entrance examination, but on this day, Chen Yi was stopped by Wang Shu. "Thank you," he thanked. Chaoran knew what he was talking about. Knowing that the Wang family was in great difficulty now, and that Wang Shu would find odd jobs every day after school to supplement the family income, she asked Lu Hua to tell Wang Shu that the remaining 20,000 yuan in compensation could be paid back when he finds a stable job when he becomes an adult. "Thank you, so I brought you some news." Wang Shu didn't waste any more nonsense. "Zhou Qingqing will try to get at you these days. You have to be careful. Don't go out alone. It's best to go with your family wherever you go. It's best to bring something for self-defense. Can you make it clear?" Zhou Qingqing is now hanging out with Niu Yishan. It's still new to her brother and sister at the beginning, but as a beautiful girl, what good can she do if she hangs out among those hot-blooded young people? Niu Yishan has already had that idea. Zhou Qingqing is anyone with brains knows how to keep him hanging. So Niu Yishan should have never succeeded. They drank too much a few days ago. Niu Yishan hugged Zhou Qingqing and said that he had broken up with his girlfriend and wanted to date Zhou Qingqing. Zhou Qingqing said bluntly at the time that when Niu Yishan dealt with her enemies, she would be his girlfriend. At that time, her people, her money, and her future will all have half of the cow's day's work, and they can enjoy it together. Wang Shu stared at Chaoran. At that time, Niu touched Zhou Qingqing's face one day and said that thanks to the high school entrance examination, it was only a few days away. He would definitely make good arrangements to help her achieve what she wanted. He would completely destroy that person and never turn around. He would definitely satisfy Zhou Qingqing. Zhou Qingqing, in order to coax people, she even kissed a cow in public. I think the person Zhou Qingqing hates the most, the person involved in her future and money, should be you. How do you know this? The place they went to play that day was watched by my father's brother. He noticed that it was their group and there were minors inside, so he asked the bartender to pay more attention. My father's brother was afraid that they would deal with it. The person is me, so they came to tell me. But I think their target should be you. The time to take action should be the 2 days before and after the high school entrance examination. In fact, Chaoran was also wary that Zhou Qingqing would do something to him before the high school entrance examination. For this reason, she has made some preparations in the past few days. Now that the news has arrived, she is even more certain. The reason is simple: this is the most enjoyable thing. She took on the role of Zhou Qingqing and wanted to destroy Chen Yi. The most exciting time was when Chen Yi was most hopeful and full of hope. Even if you don't know the means, just think about how it would be like ruining the high school entrance examination that Chen Yi has been working hard for, which is equivalent to a wake-up call and the beginning of ruining her life. How exciting would that be? Hold it high, then drop it hard, straight into the abyss. How to relieve hatred. And how should Chen Yi despair? Chaoran believed it. I don't know exactly what their actions are, and it's hard to find out. So you should be careful. I didn't do well to you in the past, and I apologize. We are now in the clear between you and me. Wangshu finished. Just turn around and leave. Wait. Taoran stopped him. Can you tell me more about your dad? Or, let's exchange phone numbers. There was a smile in her eyes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 193. A few days passed by again. Everything remains calm. Just one piece. Early the morning before the high school entrance examination, Chen Jian suddenly received a call that he needed to go on an urgent business trip. Chen Jian was worried about his daughter's exam, so he called and contacted everyone, hoping to postpone or change the meeting. Dad, go ahead. I will arrange the exam myself. Don't worry, I have Uncle Zhong's phone number. Taoran was very considerate. At this time when he needed support the most, he actually advised Chen Jian to go to work with peace of mind. It's really okay, I've grown up. Then I'll come back as soon as I can do something good. Try to come back tomorrow. Business matters are important. Don't worry. The more money you make, the more money I can spend with peace of mind, right? Then I will ask Lao Zhong to pick you up and drop you off at the scheduled time every day. Chen Jian took Chen Yi's mobile phone and entered a series of numbers on it. If you need anything, the above people can be contacted. If you need anything or if you need help, just ask them. He added the phone numbers and WeChat accounts of all his trusted old friends, cousins, and secretaries to Chen Yi. Ma Xiaozu was so angry that her mouth was bitter. What did this mean? Do you think you will deal with your stepdaughter while he is away? What made her even more angry was that Chen Jian gave Chen Yi a gold card that he had taken back from her 2 months ago. You know, there is a reserve fund of 500,000 yuan in that card all year round. Partiality, too partial. What's even more outrageous is that Chen Jian came to her and warned her, saying, the high school entrance examination is the most important thing to Xiaoi, so it is also the most important thing to me. I don't need you to take care of her, but if you dare to bully her, for a moment, I guarantee you won't be able to eat and walk around. I will monitor the surveillance from time to time. Husband, who do you think I am? Ma Xiaozu's eyes turned red. These days, I haven't been good enough to Xiaoi. Just reminding you, don't think too much, there's no other meaning. After saying that, Chen Jian stopped talking to Ma Xiaozu and went to his daughter to encourage and exhort her. She should wait until the exam is over, whether she can pass it or not. After her first year of high school, he would take her out for half a month to play, at home or abroad, anywhere, she would decide. Just like that, everything is business as usual. Except Chen Jian was not there, and went thousands of miles away to discuss business in a city near the sea. The high school entrance examination is tomorrow, and the school only has half a day of classes, so everyone is asked to go back early to review as needed, take a proper rest, adjust their mood, and prepare for the high school entrance examination with the fullest attitude. Still nothing big happened. After Taoran returned home safely, he started reviewing as usual. At about 4:30 in the afternoon, the phone flashed. The WeChat call came. It's classmate Suzuyaxu. This classmate has very good grades and has a good relationship with Chen Yi. Taoran had borrowed notes from her several times. Chen Yi, I want to exchange a set of papers with you. Suzuyaxu wanted the physics papers that Taoran was taking extra classes for. I'll exchange it for you with the secret test paper for the mathematics entrance exam of the high school affiliated to the provincial university that my father got for me. Taoran was afraid of trouble. If it wasn't math papers, or the top-ranked middle school secret papers in the province, she might not be willing to brave the sun to change papers. Tisk, this Suzuyaxu really got her point right. Fine. Then I will come to your community right now. It will take about 20 minutes. I will wait for you at the gate of your community. You can come out with your test papers. Good. Taoran calmed down and changed into light and loose clothes. There was no one else at home. At this time, Ma Xiaozu usually picked up Chen Xiao. Taoran went to the kitchen and put out the 2 dishes and 1 soup that her aunt had just prepared for her. She was leisurely eating and playing with her cell phone. Half an hour later, she had eaten and drank enough. After Suzuoxu sent a message to urge her, she collected the dishes. She sat there again to collect her thoughts, made 2 phone calls, and fiddled with her phone for a few minutes before she washed her face, dressed up, and went out. They agreed to meet for 20 minutes, but it had actually been 50 minutes. By the time Taoran strolled outside the community, an hour had actually passed. She smiled. I have to say that classmate Suzuoxu is so patient. As soon as Taoran reached the road outside the community, he saw a black car with its window rolled down. Here, Suzuoxu waved her hand. When the car door opened, Suzuoxu did not get out of the car, nor did she immediately exchange test papers with Taoran. Instead, she patted the pile of papers on her lap. Chen Yi, get in the car. I have a bunch of test papers that I just collected here. Come up and pick out a few to go. It's too hot outside, and the car has air conditioning. Well, that makes sense. He glanced at the road and then at the car. There were only 2 people in the car, the driver and Suzuoxu. Taoran was not polite and got into the car directly. I'm sorry, are you too hot? Suzuoxu looked apologetic. You're already sweating. It's really hot. Taoran wiped the sweat from his forehead with a sports wristband, straightened his clothes and unbuttoned them. Drink some water first. Suzuoxu handed over a bottle of purified water. As she spoke, she took 2 big sips herself. Such good water, a bottle of imported mountain snow water costs 18 yuan. Thank you. Taoran couldn't bear to let down his classmate's kindness, so he took the water and screwed up the sealed bottle cap. Seeing the driver looking at him in the central rearview mirror, Taoran couldn't help but smile and asked, Xiaoxiu, is this your uncle? The driver was embarrassed, then grinned, while Suzuoxu was stunned. Huh? Oh, I forgot to introduce you. This is my uncle. Is he my uncle? How come it doesn't look like him? But why do you keep looking at me, uncle? Taoran asked directly. At the same time, her gaze switched between staring closely at the uncle and nephew. Both of them smiled unnaturally, and unknowingly, Taoran took 2 sips of the water in his hand. Look at the test papers. Suzuoxu bit her lip with a complicated expression and pulled Taoran, who was still looking at the driver's expression in the mirror. Okay. Taoran smiled and took the test paper. Oh, I've done this test paper before. The next second, the car door suddenly opened, and 2 people in black clothes and black hats flashed into the front seat and the back seat. Before they could see their faces clearly, the car was already running fast with a click sound of the door locking. And there was already a stranger beside Taoran. Stop! I want to get off, Taoran shouted anxiously. However, the speed of the car was faster. Taoran reached for the car door and found that it couldn't be opened at all. The stranger next to him already had a knife in his hand and was spinning it around. Little girl, don't move. Otherwise, your finger may be gone. The co-pilot in front took off his hat, shook his long hair with a few yellow hairs, then turned his head, revealing an arrogant face. Who is it if it's not Zhou Qingqing? Sister, it's me. She was so happy. Today, she could finally appreciate Chen Yi's pain. You study too seriously. Today, I will take you to play and relax. I have specially prepared a party for you. I will keep it for you to remember and use it for life. Enjoy it. It's so interesting to look at Chen Yi's panicked little face, with the fearful eyes flashing in his eyes, and the angry expression of someone stabbing him. Zhou Qingqing couldn't help but take the camera, pointed it at Chen Yi and took several pictures as a souvenir. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 194. The car went very fast, directly onto the elevated highway, and was now heading towards the suburbs. The knife in the stranger's hand was already pressed against Chaoran's waist. "Are you crazy? Do you know what you are doing?" Chaoran glared at Suzuoxiu. "Yes, I'm sorry, Chen Yi." Suzuoxiu burst into tears. "I don't want to either. They forced me. Don't hate me. I'm very pitiful. If I don't agree to them, they will." "Okay," Zhou Qingqing interrupted. "Why are you talking to her so much?" Zhou Qingqing stretched out her hand to the back. Suzuoxiu shivered, held Chaoran's hand, and whispered, "I'm sorry," in a low voice. Then, she unlocked Chen Yi's phone with her fingerprint and handed it to Zhou Qingqing. Zhou Qingqing swiped all over the phone. After Suzuoxiu urged her in a low voice, she snorted. "Don't worry, I will definitely do what I promised. You did a good job today and it won't involve you. Don't worry." She deleted all the WeChat records of Suzuoxiu and Chen Yi today. "I can't find you. There's no surveillance in front, so you can get off." "Good. What happened today?" "Nothing happened today. I have been studying at home. I have not been out. My family can testify." "Very well, get out of the car." "Thank you, thank you." The place where Suzuoxiu got off the bus was a farmhouse in the suburbs. Chaoran no longer recognized this area. Not one person. After going around and stopping the car, Chaoran didn't dare to act rashly until Suzuoxiu got out of the car because the knife was always pressed against her. Zhou Qingqing leaned over and touched Chaoran's body, confirming that there was nothing there. The driver also got out of the car. He went to the trunk to get something, and started working skillfully in front and behind the car. In just a few minutes, the car's license plate was changed. He is a cautious person, changed the license plate of his car, and even took a detour and changed the direction to continue walking. Looking back at Chen Yi, who was dark-faced, Zhou Qingqing in front finally let out a poof and couldn't help laughing. "How am I doing this time? Were you particularly surprised when you just saw me? In the past year or so, it was you who told me every time, but this time it's me. Things are changing, so what do you say? The best laugh is the one who laughs at the end. Tisk. This time, it's finally my time to take charge. Speaking of which, it's all your fault. We are sisters, but I can't date you. Look, I have to go through so much trouble this time to use your classmates to fish you out. It's not easy." Zhou Qingqing looked Chaoran up and down. This stupid girl didn't even take any money with her when she went out this time. She only took a mobile phone and a few test papers. How could she escape when she was all alone? "Chaoran, what exactly do you want?" "Chen Yi, relax." Zhou Qingqing smiled even more cheerfully. "I told you, I'm just here to have fun with you, I won't do anything to you." "Where are you taking me?" "You'll know when we get there. Don't be impatient." "Zhou Qingqing, if you bring me out, have you thought about the consequences? This is a crime. It's a kidnapping." "Pfft. You are crazy. Who tied you up in this car that you got into? You went out to play by yourself, and you didn't want to go home. Or, something happened to you yourself outside. What does it have to do with me? What evidence do you have? Did I tie you up? I have been fighting with people today, and I have an alibi. If you are talking nonsense, I will sue you for libel." "Zhou Qingqing, I beg you, please let me go. I have an exam tomorrow, don't do this." "Hey, you are indeed Chen Yi. You are quite perceptive. How do you know that the party I am throwing for you will last until tomorrow? What? What did you say? Zhou Qingqing burst out laughing when he saw Chen Yi's face turned ashen. Want to fly further with your high school entrance exam? Don't even think about it. Since she can't pass the high school entrance examination, Chen Yi can't even think about it. Chen Jian and old man Hai Song have high hopes for her? Do you think she can definitely reach a higher level? Just wait and see. Let's see if they can still laugh when they are knocked back to reality. And Chen Yi, do you understand that there may be many things in life that are more terrifying than stopping your studies? In comparison, missing the high school entrance examination is actually nothing. Afraid? Tao Ran nodded. Are you begging me? Tao Ran nodded again. Really? Tao Ran still nodded. But it's too late. Zhou Qingqing suddenly turned around and slapped Tao Ran on the face. What did you do earlier? How did you bully us before? How angry was my mother with you because of you? Because of you, my brother lost his father. What about me? I went from a princess to Cinderella, and everything was almost lost. You took it all. If you continue to be so rampant, our whole family will have no way out. You know, I have been waiting for today for almost a full year. Do you know how much I suffered and how much anger I suffered? Today, I have to collect all the debt you owe us from you, piece by piece. You, look forward to it. As soon as Zhou Qingqing raised his neck, the man next to Tao Ran reacted and handed over the bottle of water on the back seat. Raising the bottle, Zhou Qingqing curled her lips when she saw that the water level was at 4/5. Not bad, I drank a few sips. Is there something wrong with the water? Chen Yi subconsciously put her hand on her throat, her face looking even uglier. But when I opened it, it was clearly sealed. It's sealed. There's nothing wrong with the bottle mouth. How could you drink boiling water if I know you're smart? I'm not stupid, so how could I do something in such a conspicuous place? Zhou Qingqing peeled off the label paper on the bottle. After the opening in the bottom corner was opened, she squeezed the bottle and water came out. See? This eye was poked with a needle, and something was injected into the water. Then glue was put on the label paper, and the eye was covered again. Is it seamless? It took me several attempts to succeed. It works well, right? Is it colorless and tasteless, and you can't taste it at all? Zhou Qingqing lay on the seat, admiring Chen Yi's expression as he became more and more anxious and panicked, and even his hands began to shake. Tao Ran finally got excited. What kind of medicine is in it? It can't be banned, right? Do you know what you are doing? Zhou Qingqing, you are crazy. Zhou Qingqing looked at Chen Yi's discolored face and the thin sweat on his forehead due to nervousness, and smiled for another 10 seconds. What a wonderful idea you have. Who is going to give you that medicine in broad daylight? That medicine is quite expensive and we don't even have enough to share, so why should we give it to you? You are thinking too much. What is in this bottle is to make you obedient, no. So wake up and have a good rest. It's just an anesthetic. Do you feel sleepy and tired? It's okay, you can just take a nap first. It's still early anyway. Don't worry, everyone is busy during this period, and they won't do anything to you. However, since we are throwing a party for you, everyone should really get high. Seeing that you are quite curious about the medicine, I will give you one generous dose tonight. When the time comes, I look forward to your performance. Zhou Qingqing couldn't help but touch the camera in his hand. Ha ha ha, this time, she personally took action and absolutely destroyed Chen Yi completely, turning her into a bug on the ground who could never get over. Thank you all for your monthly votes. Thank you for your book Friends Tale number 44759, You Are Crazy, Wild, and Arrogant, Runda, Dowdu, and my book Friends Tale number 46293 for your rewards. Compare your thoughts. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 195. Do you want to give her a few more mouthfuls of this water? The man sitting next to Taoran asked Zhou Qingqing. No need. The effect of the medicine is enough, 1 or 2 sips are enough. And, what's the point of her being completely fainted? This is just the right time. Look at her, her eyes are full of hatred, but her body doesn't obey her orders. She has enough energy. It's not enough, it's interesting to watch helplessly but can't even save yourself, right? Taoran bit his back teeth and became weaker and weaker. Zhou Qingqing looked at her through the rearview mirror, liking Chen Yi's current feeling of hatred and pain, but helpless despair. Uncomfortable. What do you want to do with me? Taoran's voice was much softer than before. I'll give you all the spoilers, so there won't be any surprises. However, if there is no preview of the plot, there seems to be no interest and expectation, right? Okay, let me tell you a little bit. Zhou Qingqing stroked her curly hair that was just permed today. We will first send you to a good place to familiarize yourself with the environment. You can rest there and dissipate the medicinal properties. I will wait for someone there. When it gets dark, we will start the party. Then, my friends and we will play lottery, and then there will be carnival activities. I won't go into details about the various activities in between, you can use your imagination. When can you let me go? Let you go, Zhou Qingqing laughed again. What a joke. I never caught you from the beginning to the end, okay. If you want to leave, you can leave at any time. You can leave now? But if you can't leave or don't want to leave, it's not up to me. I will take the high school entrance examination tomorrow. Yeah. You have to go for the big event in life. Zhou Qingqing twirled her curly hair. However, you may have to think of a solution on your own. The carnival ends tomorrow morning, and the drive from your exam center may be a bit far. Zhou Qingqing blew Chen Yi's beautiful mobile phone. Tell me about you. Even if you don't bring a bag when you go out, why have you lost your mobile phone? How can you take a taxi without a mobile phone? How will you go to the examination room tomorrow? Also, have you brought any money? Zhou Qingqing looked Taoran up and down. Oh, no, did you bring your admission ticket? Did you bring your test tools? Do you have to go home to get them? Can you make it in time? You will take the Chinese language test tomorrow morning, which is your best subject. Isn't that right? If you can't catch up, how are you going to go to the first high school? Ah, I'm so nervous. What should I do? You can figure it out yourself. Zhou Qingqing turned on the stereo and sang along. I'm so happy, I feel like my life has reached its peak. Ha, from the moment Chen Yi got into this car, it meant that her highlight moment was completely over. Her life has entered hell mode, and she can take her place again. It's useless for Chen Jian to be stubborn. Anyway, this time, it has nothing to do with herself, because she has already found the one who takes the blame. The car drove for a long time and finally arrived at an industrial zone in a suburban county. It's past get-off work time now, and there's no one on the road. After turning a few more corners, we arrived at an abandoned factory. The car drove right in. Inside is a warehouse on one side and a semi-old 2-story building on the other. This is probably a place where those gangsters often stay, and there are obvious traces of life. Obviously this was not Zhou Qingqing's first time back. She was quite familiar with this place. She stood there with her arms akimbo and ordered people to drag the half-conscious Chen Yi out of the car and throw her into the warehouse. Taoran was thrown out and suffered a terrible fall. He fell heavily to the ground but could not sit up. Zhou Qingqing was happy, the medicine my third brother gave me is really effective. She searched Chen Yi again and even took off her shoes to make sure that Chen Yi had no money or other communication tools. She snorted and kicked Chen Yi, idiot. How dare you take other people's things? Anyone who has no self-awareness and covets other people's things is destined to have a bad end. Tao Ran allowed her to bully him but didn't react at all, which made Zhou Qingqing feel a bit bored. At this time, Chen Yi's cell phone in Zhou Qingqing's hand rang. It was Chen Jian's call. TCH. He really loves his daughter. Zhou Qingqing hung up, then unlocked the phone with Chen Yi's fingerprint and sent a message back, saying that he was solving problems with the teacher via video and would not contact him for now. Chen Jian replied a few words, telling her to eat early and rest. Zhou Qingqing fooled around perfunctorily. Your dad shouldn't call you again before tomorrow. Zhou Qingqing kicked Chen Yi again. Tao Ran moved, but then became unresponsive. Zhou Qingqing sat on a diesel barrel and asked, when will my elder brother come over? It should be soon. Zhou Qingqing called Niu Yishan. Brother, how's it going? Have you caught Wang Shu? Humph, brother, you have to help me vent my anger. Then hurry up. Well, we're done. We're just waiting for you to come over. Got it? Hurry up. Well, Zhou Qingqing also kissed the phone delicately. A gangster next to her laughed, my eldest brother is very handsome, and our girl will become a sister-in-law soon. Zhou Qingqing gave him a sideways look, go, get your sister-in-law a beer quickly. 3 minutes later, Zhou Qingqing poured half of the beer she had drunk on Chen Yi's face. Did you hear that? Someone will come to accompany you in a moment. That's the second surprise I've given you. It's the person you hated and feared the most before, who caused you to fall off the stairs. If I ask him to accompany you, it will be fun, right? You two will definitely be very lively. Chen Yi obviously listened to these words. She moved slightly and scratched the ground with her fingers. But she was unable to speak and couldn't even open her eyelids. I used to love watching sadomasochism dramas the most. What do you think, I let you do a drama about falling in love and killing each other? Zhou Qingqing was proud and kicked Chen Yi again. Damn pig. I'm afraid I won't wake up until night. I really can't wait to watch the show. Zhou Qingqing patted his clothes and left. The warehouse door was closed, and it was pitch black all around. Tao Ran was still lying on the ground motionless, but if someone could get close to her and listen carefully, they would find that she would occasionally speak a sentence or two. In the darkness, he didn't know the time. Tao Ran didn't know how long he lay there. Unable to turn over, she only felt pain in her lower back while lying on her stomach. In the meantime, Zhou Qingqing came again, grabbed her hair, pulled her hair again, and then left. She lay there for a long time. She had no choice but to endure it. She wasn't sure if there was a probe somewhere in the warehouse, or if Zhou Qingqing was staring at her somewhere. So she didn't dare to move. Anyway, she is safe now, isn't she just tolerant? She can. In the early years, the newcomers were hung up for 4 to 5 hours. At that time, she could endure the bruises all over her body. What does this hardship mean now? In short, she was sure to catch this fish. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 196. After an unknown amount of time, there was a commotion outside. Listening to the noise, it must be the arrival of the cow. Almost 10 minutes later, the warehouse door was opened again. Then, half a bucket of water was poured on Tao Ran. Tao Ran shivered subconsciously, feeling a little cold. Thank goodness it's summer, otherwise it would be unbearable. Zhou Qingqing's voice was cheerful, and she came up and grabbed Chen Yi's braid. Damn fat man, wake up. Get up and party. Tao Ran twisted his neck. He lay down for too long and his body became stiff. He raised his eyelids slightly and saw that it was completely dark outside. It gets dark late on this June day, so it's at least 7:30 to 8 o'clock. In other words, 2 hours may have just passed. Okay, then her medicinal properties can probably dissipate a little. She half squinted her eyes and looked. Tut, tut, the man holding Zhou Qingqing was obviously a jerk. She thought that the young and dangerous boy who made Zhou Qingqing willingly commit herself to him was Ekin Cheng's version. Unfortunately, his appearance was worse than Xiao Kun's version of pheasant. No wonder Zhou Qingqing was so resentful. Well, I'm really aggrieved. Niu walked up 2 steps a day and looked at Chen Yi, who had a naked face, messy hair, unfeminine and dirty t-shirt and trousers, with an expression of disgust on his face. Forget it, I'm not interested. This is obviously not as good as the cute, sweet-smelling, and beautiful sister next to me. So, he hugged Zhou Qingqing back and couldn't help coaxing, whatever you want to do, I will cooperate with you. Let's go to the building. The environment here is not good. You just have to make the decision. Zhou Qingqing waved his hand and signaled the 2 gangsters to drag Chen Yi to the small building. Tao Ran scanned the environment while being dragged left and right, and counted the number of people on the other side. Niu Tian was followed by 2 people, and one was sitting at the door of the courtyard. Someone was talking outside the courtyard, and there were at least 3 people listening to the movement. In the yard, there were 2 people laughing and drinking. Just this, plus Zhou Qingqing and Niu Tian, there are at least 10 people on the other side. Walking into the building, I saw 3 more people. Haha, there are quite a few of these people. There was a clock hanging on the wall. I looked at it and saw that it was already past 9 o'clock. Tao Ran was thrown into a room. As soon as he entered the door, he saw a person being tied up and lying on the ground. It was Wang Shu. Wang Shu sneered as soon as he saw Zhou Qingqing, "It's really you." "It's me." Zhou Qingqing stepped forward and slapped Wang Shu several times. "You still dare to be arrogant with me? What are you? Trash, bug. I wanted to let you go because you took the blame for me and there is a disabled person in the family. Let me tell you, you brought it all on yourself. Since you are not satisfied with taking the blame once, I will let you take the blame completely." There was a hint of ferocity in her smile. "I want you to regret it forever." She kicked Wang Shu several times in succession. She thought about those days when she was forced by Wang Shu to have almost no way to escape and couldn't even stay in school. As long as she thought about that period of time, she wanted to kill this guy with her own hands. If it weren't for this trash, he wouldn't have been knocked down by Chen Yi so easily. If Chen Yi is his number 1 enemy, then Wang Shu is his unrivaled number 2. Okay, stop fighting. One day the cow pulled Zhou Qingqing. Don't you still want him to take the blame? Because of that, I didn't hurt his face when I dealt with him, so you should be calmer. It won't look like you caused him wounds all over your body. You don't need this kind of hatred. I'll take action myself, and when he gets inside, I'll take care of him and keep him there to eat his fists every day. Zhou Qingqing suddenly raised the corners of his mouth, and his eyes lingered on Wang Shu and Chen Yi. Tao Ran narrowed his eyes and spoke with difficulty, "Wang Shu, taking the blame, what do you mean?" Zhou Qingqing squatted down and burst into laughter. "Aren't you very smart? You can't even guess this? Of course, we destroyed you and then put the blame on Wang Shu. Wang Shu was imprisoned for 3 years because of you months. He hates you, so he has a motive. So no matter what he did to you, the police can believe it." "What expression?" Zhou Qingqing patted Chen Yi's face. "Do you want to ask how we are going to destroy you?" "Naturally, whatever stimulates you will come. For example, when the police arrive, are you just pretending to be? Or find that you have been fed drugs by Wang Shu? Or are you drunk? Whatever it is. Tao Ran, Zhou Qingqing, you think so beautifully. I am the victim and I will testify against you. You won't, because I will catch you first later. Zhou Qingqing's resentful eyes swept over the two of them. Yes, I asked Wang Shu to take the photo before, but he didn't complete it. But this time, what I want is not an ugly photo, but something more exciting. Tell me, if you don't want me to spread your beautiful photos all over the world, will you listen to me? Will you testify against me? Tao Ran had a look of horror on his face. It's okay to be afraid. If you be good, I can make you suffer less. Zhou Qingqing patted Chen Yi's face again. This is Zhou Qingqing's confidence. Destroy Chen Yi's future in the high school entrance examination, torture her body, destroy her self-confidence, and seize her. If she doesn't want her photos to be admired by the entire internet, if she doesn't want her father and her grandmother to be angry to death, or if she doesn't want to become a joke to the whole world, she can only endure it and be controlled by them. When the time comes, let alone the company, Hai Song has such a puppet on strings, why can't she take it out obediently? For everything in the Chen family, it is certain that the surname must be Zhou. And since she had her revenge, she could also return to her original position. Very good. She has been planning this plan for a long time. She had been hiding it from her mother. She just called her mother, and with her mother helping to cover her, Chen Jian wouldn't notice anything wrong for a while. Wait until he realizes something is wrong before calling the police. It will be too late. Zhou Qingqing is in a good mood. She is hungry now. She needs to eat first to refresh herself. She will be busy soon. Okay, I'll give you two some private space. You, cultivate your relationship first. It won't be too embarrassing later. Zhou Qingqing left a sharp smile, and the door was locked. Tao Ran let out a breath and slowly sat up. Their eyes met. Are you okay? Wang Shu asked. Nothing, and you? It just took a few hits, it's okay. What they just said, you should all. SHH, Tao Ran said SHH, interrupting the second half of Wang Shu's sentence. Zhou Qingqing has become a pervert. God knows if she has installed some kind of probe or monitor in this shabby room, waiting to capture some ugly scene of theirs. Wang Shu understood what she meant and thought about it for 2 seconds before saying again, it's too dangerous. Don't worry, there will be a party later. Once the fish is hooked, you have to catch it, but once you catch it, you have to be careful as it jumps away. The safest thing is to knock it out hard after you hook it, and then you can feel at ease until it is on the chopping board. You have to believe that evil will never prevail against good. She is not worried at all. If you don't go deep into the tiger's den, how can you catch the tiger's cubs? The plan that Zhou Qingqing thought was just the beginning of his counterattack. Wang Shu took a breath and said, I believe you. Tao Ran sat against the wall with his knees bent, huddled into a ball, then buried his head between his knees, and said in a voice that was so low that even Wang Shu beside him could not hear clearly, there are at least 13 people here, they are a gang. I saw that there was a misunderstanding about the baby. The plot was not confusing, nor was it a bug. The heroine took advantage of the situation and planned to uproot them all in one go. This is the last plot of this article, so don't be impatient. Let's take a look at the situation and I'll add an update tomorrow if I have time. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 197. A group of gangsters started their carnival. Eat, drink, play, have fun, and the waves of movement are getting higher and higher. Zhou Qingqing was teased as sister-in-law, and a group of people started to make trouble around her. The atmosphere is high. Zhou Qingqing's greatest pleasure is to go into the house from time to time to stimulate Chen Yi and Wang Shu, curse and insult them with words, scare them with a knife and whip, or hold her camera and point them at them violently. After taking the photo, he looked at the cowering two and laughed. A group of lunatics, drunken and unscrupulous. Naturally, Taoran and the others did not dare to anger them, so they tried their best to look pitiful and aggrieved. Wang Shu was not stupid. After being beaten again, he finally asked Zhou Qingqing to admit in person that she and her mother paid for her father to hire someone to break off his father's legs. My dad will not let go of anyone who bullies me. After drinking some wine, Zhou Qingqing looked at Taoran and said, "Yes, the man who hit you before was also my dad. My real dad. So, what if you know about it? Will the police help you? Is there anything you can do? You have no evidence, so what else can you do besides swallowing your breath?" Taoran felt aggrieved and cried. Wang Shu buried his head and showed no expression. Only Zhou Qingqing is as happy as a god. During this period, Chen Jian sent another text message, but was fooled by Zhou Qingqing again. However, Na Niu became interested after looking through Chen Yi's phone one day. Oh my god! This girl has so much money on WeChat, he thought he was dazzled. Zhou Qingqing was also jealous when he saw it. 100,000. 100,000 balance. Transfer out, Niu Yishan became interested. 100,000 is enough for the brothers to spend many times together. How great it is to transfer from balance, there will be no bank card prompts and no worries. Don't worry, transfer it to Lao San's WeChat account. The information on that account is not true and we can't be found. Okay, Zhou Qingqing readily agreed. What is she afraid of? Anyway, Wang Shu took the blame, and with beautiful photos in hand, Chen Yi did not dare to accuse herself. However, I have my eye on a bag. You have to leave me a bag of money for the 100,000 yuan. No problem. I still have to leave some money, so the two of us can go to the world of two. A flash of lust flashed in Niu Yishan's eyes, and Zhou Qingqing's face twitched. She wanted to brush his hand away, but she told him to hug him tighter. What, Qingqing, you're not going to regret it, are you? We agreed that if I avenge you, you will be my girlfriend. How could I regret it? Zhou Qingqing took the phone and said with a smile, it's important to transfer the money first. Zhou Qingqing gritted her teeth, held Chen Yi's hand to unlock the fingerprint, and transferred money in one go. Taoran saw the poison in her eyes and knew that she had placed the blame on Chen Yi and Wang Shu again. Oh, the road is chosen by people themselves. If you have evil intentions, take a wrong path, and have evil thoughts, you cannot be afraid of backlash. If she uses her body to seduce, she will have to bear the consequences of using her body to promise him. To put it bluntly, you deserve it. Sure enough, the next second after Zhou Qingqing finished transferring the money, he fell into Niu Yishan's arms. Wait, let go. Let's go upstairs. I do not feel well. Oh, don't think that I don't know what you're thinking. Don't you like me? Let me tell you, I can do everything you ask for. You asked me to bring Wang Shu together at last minute. I've satisfied you. If you want to regret it now, it's too late. Zhou Qingqing, you promised to be my girlfriend today, but you can't make me embarrass myself in front of my brothers, right? Let me tell you, if you don't fulfill your promise now, I will let Chen Yi go. You. Zhou Qingqing forgot to struggle, and her lips were trembling with anger. Of course she despises this bitch. A scoundrel, and ugly, how could he be worthy of me? She was really spotted by a brokerage company, which wanted to sign her and train her to become an internet celebrity. After she becomes famous, she will become a star. She is young, beautiful, and has a bright future. The people standing next to her in the future, even if they are not the clean and beautiful little brothers, must be wealthy bosses who can control everything. Cow for a day? Pooh. Just a toad. She originally planned to use it for a day, and sign a contract with the company after getting her diploma in the next few days. Then she would be someone protected by the company. At that time, If she just kicks the cow away for a day, even if she finds a big backer in the company, she won't be ruined by this guy. How could Niu Yishan not know what Zhou Qingqing was thinking, squinting his eyes and crossing his chest? In a word, can you leave? This mouthful of meat has been on his lips for more than half a year, and it's time to try it. Then Zhou Qingqing pointed at Chen Yi and the other two. Let's get rid of them first. That way I'll feel more at ease. Zhou Qingqing, do you think I'm stupid? How long will it take? I'm telling you clearly, since it's a transaction, there's going to be back and forth. You get what you pay for. I don't worry about them. They can't run away. What are you worrying about? Aren't you going to party until dawn? We have plenty of time. After you and I are happy, wouldn't we be happier if we come to make them happy? Niu Yishan said, dragging Zhou Qingqing away. Niu Yiyi, who walked outside, yelled at everyone, come on. It's time for takeout. A group of gangsters cheered immediately. It turns out that their high-quality medicine was delivered in a takeaway box not long ago. A group of people gathered together, one person took one, soaked it in wine, and drank it happily. The music suddenly turned up loud, the sound shook the eardrums, and the group of lunatics swayed left and right together. Niu Yishan put a glass of wine with added wine to Zhou Qingqing's mouth. Come on, have fun. Zhou Qingqing took a deep breath, thinking about the future, and finally raised her neck and swallowed it in one gulp. Forget it, which star hasn't come up through grievances step by step like this? Just think of it as accumulating experience. A few minutes later, Zhou Qingqing and Niu Tian went upstairs in an entanglement. The rest of the group started making noise over the music. After more than half an hour, the medicine took effect and everyone became more interested. In this great time, when they think about their eldest brother enjoying the delicious food all to himself, they always feel that there is something missing. Yes, there is a shortage of girls. It occurred to one that they had imprisoned a girl. The one who is locked up inside is going to be punished today anyway. The money will not go to outsiders, so why should he take advantage of Wang Shu? Why not bring it along and have fun together? Two people immediately stood up and planned to bring Chen Yi over to play together. But the door, why can't it be opened? Just now, it seemed like the door wasn't closed. When was the door closed? Wang Shu was tied up. Was it Chen Yi who got up and closed the door? And locked it from the inside? That's good, it means my sister's strength has recovered. Several people laughed. Little sister, open the door and come out to play. Several people slammed the door together. Little girl, you are quite exciting. Interesting. Don't be afraid, little sister, brother will protect you. If you don't open the door, we will hit you. The medicine and alcohol worked together, amplifying the emotions of several people, who were shouting and banging on the door. Probably to stimulate Chen Yi inside, they also deliberately took knives and chiseled the door lock. The crazy people sang Little Rabbit, be good, open the door. Singing, shouting, drinking, combined with the increasingly noisy electronic music, everything seemed crazy. And this madness became even crazier after a huge noise and a large number of figures flashed in. If there is anything you don't understand, please be patient. Look back and it will all be explained. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 198. The police were like falling from the sky, and they all acted in one go. It only took less than half a minute to subdue the gangsters to the ground. They arrived at this abandoned factory area half an hour ago. Knowing that there were kidnapped hostages in the factory, they were afraid of alerting the enemy. They turned off all the sirens before taking action, parked the police car hundreds of meters away, and left a third of the manpower to block several peripheral roads. And the remaining personnel went into the arrest operation. They conducted some detective work on the top floor of another factory 50 meters away. After confirming that only one front door of the factory was opened and only one person was guarding it, while everyone else was inside, their operation began. The bastard at the door crossed his legs and scrolled through his cell phone. Not to mention announcing the news when the black shadow came over, he couldn't even make a sound, so he was thrown to the ground, knocked unconscious and dragged away. More than 20 police officers broke in and quickly went about their duties. After predicting the basic layout of the small building, they had already made arrangements. They went deep into the house to investigate, rescued the hostages along the way, and the remaining personnel carried out arrest operations. But even though they were experienced people, they were shocked by the group of stumbling guys as soon as they entered the door. Be good. These people are obviously not drunk. They originally thought this was a kidnapping case, and were worried that the reports from the public were exaggerated. But now it seems that the nature of this incident is much worse than they imagined. After handcuffing all the guys who were singing and digging at the door of one room, the room was opened. The kidnapped victim has been found. What came into view was a young man lying in the corner, tied up with a big flower. The young man had blood on his face and wounds on his arms. He had obviously been attacked. The police officers went to rescue him and found that the young man had been tied up for at least 4 to 5 hours, and the ropes on his body had cut blood marks on his flesh. May I have your name? Wang Shu. Uncle, there are people there. Wang Shu pointed to the cabinet. When they opened the cabinet, what the police saw was the female classmate whom the masses reported to be kidnapped. At this moment, her hair was disheveled, her eyes were distracted, her face was covered with injuries, her whole body was trembling, and she looked almost collapsed. Those scumbags, all the police officers cursed in their hearts. Being kidnapped is scary enough, but also being detained, how much mental pressure is there? Probably scared? Don't be afraid, girl. You're saved and you're fine. A police officer came immediately and knelt down to comfort him. The panic in Chen Yi's eyes gradually disappeared, and then she burst into tears. When Chen Yi and Wang Shu were rescued, people upstairs also broke in, and Zhou Qingqing was caught red-handed. While waiting for the ambulance to arrive, Chao Ran and Wang Shu were also questioned by the police respectively. When Zhou Qingqing was taken out of the house, he happened to see Chen Yi. Her eyes suddenly became clear, and her chaotic mind gradually became clear. She had been thinking just now, they were very careful, why were they caught? Although this place is not in the wilderness, few people find it. How did they find it? Until she saw Chao Ran and Wang Shu with their faces covered with injuries. In order to create an excuse for Chao Ran and Wang Shu to be together, she had been restraining herself. Therefore, even though she hit Chen Yi in the face several times, she did not leave any external injuries, let alone injuries on the face. The same goes for Wang Shu. So, where did the bloody looks of those two people come from? Isn't it obvious? They obviously did it themselves. They are a scam. They knew the police were coming. No, I should say, they called the police. Zhou Qingqing felt dizzy, her legs softened, and she slid to the ground. She can't stand anymore. What on earth did she do? After giving everything and planning for so long, in the end it was all in vain, or was he defeated by Chen Yi? Why? Why? She saw Chen Yi taking off his wristband, and the police put the wristband into a sealed bag as evidence and said they would check it out. Chen Yi said, "They gave me water, but I was afraid that there was something wrong with the water, so I didn't drink it. I poured it all on my wristband. Later I found out that there was indeed something wrong with the water. The amount was quite large, so I should be able to detect it." At that time, she deliberately questioned the relationship between the driver and Suziaxiu, and asked the driver why he kept looking at her. The driver felt guilty, his eyes flickered, and he did not dare to stare at her anymore. It was at that moment that she leaned back to drink water, and by holding the bottle with both hands to drink water, She poured all the water on the wrist guard. The weather was so hot and the air conditioner was on in the car, so the wristband dried in just a few minutes. When Zhou Qingqing came to search her body later, no clues would be found. Zhou Qingqing sat on the ground, completely dumbfounded. What? What? What did she say? Therefore, I was so complacent in vain, thinking that Chen Yi had been tricked, and even holding a water bottle to show off in front of Chen Yi. In fact, Chen Yi almost laughed out loud at that time, right? After working on it for a long time, it turns out that the clown is actually me. The police officer was confused. Wasn't the water you drank given by your classmates? How did you know there was something wrong with the water? Or, how did you know there was something wrong with your classmates? Maybe, I've been hurt a lot, so I'm a lot more vigilant, right? My eyelids have been twitching a lot lately. Tao Ran's eyes fell on Zhou Qingqing. The gate of our community was open to the south. The sun was setting in the west at that time, so there was shade on the south side of the road, but the north side was under the sun. The sun in Xishan in early summer was very hot, but the car was not parked in the shade. On the road there, the front of the car is facing the west mountain. Sunday you can turn around at the entrance of the community. They can't be exposed to the sun because of the direction of the road. The only explanation is that they wanted to use heat and sun exposure as excuses to lure her into willingly getting into the car and talking. Besides, I was late. A full half an hour later than the agreed time. And the car was waiting under the sun for a full half hour. I was too patient. I was very puzzled at the time. My test paper was so attractive. On the day before the high school entrance examination, I could let this classmate with whom I have a moderate relationship waste this critical time and wait foolishly. That car is very ordinary. It is an old model from many years ago, and it is very old. My classmate is in good condition, so he shouldn't be riding in that shabby car. And the license plate is from another place. But doubts remain doubts, so I still got in the car. Of course Tao Ran couldn't say that her actions were all part of her plan. In addition, I smelled a smell of tobacco and alcohol after getting in the car. Although it was covered with perfume, the smell was strong, and even the leather seat covers were smelling of it. It can be seen that there are often people smoking and drinking in the car, or this cars often carry people who smoke and drink. The carpet in the car was not clean, and I also found a cigarette butt in the corner. I thought, who would throw cigarette butts in the car so carelessly? So I don't think this is a family car. There is clearly air conditioning in the car, and the temperature is still low, but my classmate is sweating all over. The driver kept silent, but kept looking at me, without any parental attitude. I also noticed that the cigarette brand displayed on the cigarette butt was affordable, and the old car was not worth much either. It obviously didn't match Suzui's, nor did it match the financial resources of drinking imported water for 18 yuan. The high-end water was more like it's the bait that tempts me to open the bottle and try it. At that time, I thought that the car was parked at the entrance of the community, just below the surveillance camera. The surveillance camera could capture the car, but it certainly couldn't capture the people in the car. There were not many cars on the road at that time, so how could it be parked? So that's the place? Isn't it too much of a coincidence? This chapter and the next chapter are republished. If you have repeated subscriptions, you can let us know in the comment area, and the subscription money will be refunded. Thank you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 199. After Tao Ran spoke for a while, Zhou Qingqing was stunned as if struck by lightning. So, are there so many loopholes? Did she think it was perfect? Why did it fall through the sieve in front of Chen Yi? But it's not right, it's not right. She had searched Chen Yi's body, and there was no mobile phone or other communication tools, so how did she call the police? Zhou Qingqing shuddered. So Chen Yi has been acting for these few hours? Is she an actress? How can you act so realistically? You cry when you say you cry, you feel jealous when you say you are jealous, even the beating is so real. Since she had the means to call the police early in the morning, why didn't she seek help from the police earlier? No matter how troublesome it is to dispatch the police, it won't take 5 or 6 hours, right? So, Chen Yi, she did it on purpose. Deliberately putting herself in danger, what is she going to do? Terrible. Chen Yi, it's so scary. Zhou Qingqing was suddenly sweating profusely. She won't get any leverage on herself, right? Zhou Qingqing stared at Tao Ran for a long time, but didn't see any solid evidence from her, and her heart gradually became calmer. Calm down, why are you panicking? What did she do? First, he didn't commit any crime, and second, he didn't commit any murder or arson. What's so scary? Besides, she is young and has just turned 14. What does she know? What kidnapping? I just brought my classmates out to play together. No, she doesn't know anything. When asked, she said she didn't even know Chen Yi was here. Taking a step back, it's none of her business if she is really considered kidnapped. She is not the one who kidnapped him. The same goes for Wang Shu. She is a little girl, how can she be tied up? It has nothing to do with her. Then their injuries naturally have nothing to do with them. Before, she could find someone to take the blame every time, and this time was no exception. Blame it all on everyone in Niu Yixin's group. Yes, as long as you bite yourself to death, you will also be a victim. That's it. Worst of all, spend some money. Well, many of Niu Yixin's gang have criminal records. Who will believe them? Zhou Qingqing took a big breath, pinched herself hard, and burst into tears for a while, begging the police officer who wanted to take her away, I can't go to the police station. Is that a place where you can go if you want to, but not if you don't want to? If you don't want to go to the police station, you shouldn't commit a crime. In addition to being investigated today, all of you have to undergo medical testing. But I will take the high school entrance exam tomorrow. You have no right to stop me from taking the exam. The police officer choked for words. High school entrance examination? Excuse me, little girl, do you still remember that you were a student? What happened to your colored curls? What's the matter with smelling like smoke and alcohol? What did you just do? Look carefully at my ID card. I have the right to pass the entrance exam. Right. Inform your family first. No matter what happens to you tomorrow, the investigation needs to be done tonight. But I have to go home and get the certificate. Get the certificate first, I have to take the test tomorrow. Zhou Qingqing's mind was spinning very fast at the moment. No matter who it is, they have no right to stop her from taking the exam. So it was only natural for her to go home and get her documents. She's asking for help from her in-person mom. The high school entrance examination lasted for 3 days, so she had 3 more days to change everything. With her parents here, 3 days is enough for her to do many things. And, Chen Yi has to go to the hospital first. Then she or her mother would have a chance to get all Chen Yi's documents first, right? Yes, she went back before Chen Yi and tore up her admission ticket to see how she would take the exam. So what if you have prepared so much? In the end, I still can't pass the exam. If he loses this battle, Chen Yi can't win. Come on, hurt each other. Tao Ran never took his eyes away from Zhou Qingqing. She smiled. She had already guessed that little trick. Come. The battle I prepared for has just begun. Tao Ran and Wang Shu were both injured, so they were taken to the hospital by ambulance first. During the examination at the hospital, Wang Shu found Tao Ran. Tao Ran, where are your brothers? During tonight's operation, Wang Shu's men have been watching from the dark. Going back, Wang Shu didn't quite understand. Don't you have complete evidence? Have. Is there something wrong with the evidence? Is it damaged? No. Then why wasn't it submitted to the police? Wang Shu followed her instructions for all the plans. They were well prepared. He originally thought that Chen Yi would hand over all the evidence during the operation tonight. But she didn't. She didn't mention that evidence just now in front of the police. I have to use that evidence for other purposes. Trust me. Don't worry, I won't let any of them escape this time. After all, there are two fish behind Zhou Qingqing. So she had to use this thing as a lure. If that doesn't work, I'll hand it over to the police. Okay, I believe you. If you need my help, I'll be here at your call. Okay. Tao Ran turned the buttons of his t-shirt. The day Wang Shu found Tao Ran to report the news was 6 days ago. That day, after confirming that Wang's father's disability was inseparable from the father and daughter named Zhou, and that Wang Shu was resentful because he was undocumented, Tao Ran, who had gone back to think about it all night, contacted Wang Shu the next day. She plans to join forces with Wang Shu. She thought about it all night and thought this was an opportunity. She had been holding back and not fighting back before, just to study hard. Now that the exam is just around the corner, she is already ready for the last few days. And 6 days, plus 3 days of high school entrance examination, almost 10 days of work. Even if she was on full defense and could avoid the opponent's dirty tricks, but the opponent failed once, what if it happened a second time or a third time? If you keep grinding, you will still be disadvantaged. Especially during the 3 days of the exam, there must be no room for error. So after much thought, Tao Ran decided to change his passive attitude into active action. According to Zhou Qingqing's mind, she would probably attack before the high school entrance examination, so she might as well deal with them before the high school entrance examination. Fortunately, she thought of a way to not only ensure safety, but also ensure that she could take the exam on time, and finally attract Ma Xiaozu and even Zhou's father. With a rare opportunity, Tao Ran extended an olive branch to Wang Shu. The reason is simple. She doesn't know the other party's methods, but since she plans to use his tricks, she needs help. First, Wang Shu can fight and can join forces with him at critical moments. Second, Wang Shu is also the enemy of the other party. As long as he provokes the other party, he can share the crisis. Third, Wang Shu also has a group of little brothers, who can also help at critical moments. You can work outside and earn up to 100 a day. But if it succeeds, I guarantee that Ma Xiaozu will compensate you enough for the medical expenses and compensation for your father's treatment. Even if it fails, I will personally make up for your hard work fee. Moreover, are you willing to let your father be destroyed in such an unclear way? Don't you want to give him justice? Don't you want him to stand up? Although Tao Ran knew that Chen Yi hated Wang Shu, one thing was the same, and Wang Shu had already paid the price for his previous actions. Moreover, Father Wang's justice really needs to be demanded. Wang Shu also has the blame that Zhou Qingqing left on him that day. Naturally, he has to demand justice. Money and hatred are exactly the two knives in Wang Shu's heart now. Tao Ran caught Wang Shu in one fell swoop. He nodded without saying a word. Everything after that is Tao Ran's plan. Babies who subscribe repeatedly can join the Penguin Group 105-504-2819. The author will apologize to you. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 200. With Wang Shu's help, Tao Ran gave him the job of keeping an eye on Zhou Qingqing for a small fee. Zhou Qingqing didn't know that whenever she left the house, she would be watched by all kinds of people. In the school, People from Wangshu were watching, and when he left the school, there were Wang's father's former brothers who were watching. In addition, the express driver outside the community also watches Zhou Qingqing's various comings and goings every day. Knowing that Zhou Qingqing was about to take action, Tao Ran directly booked the car for half a month. After a year of contact, she and the driver were happy to work together and had a good level of mutual trust. Tao Ran asked him to be on call at all times, and every time he went out, he asked him to drive behind him quietly to protect him, and to call the police if anything went wrong. Soon, news came from Wangshu that Zhou Qingqing had led people to block several female classmates after school. The names of those people were all listed in Tao Ran's notebook. Su Xiaoxiu's name is naturally among them. And in those days, Tao Ran was not idle either. She bought a lot of equipment online. In the last world, she worked for Zhang Chen's professional security company. She bought more than one set of all the equipment that she might use in case of emergency, and included them. Part of it was given to Wangshu. The effect of throwing money is pretty good. Through Wangshu's father's brother, she knew that Niu Yishan's gang had some other bad habits besides being a gangster. The man didn't take the money in vain, and quickly got things done for them. Niu Yishan's gang of gangsters came into contact with many and mixed people, and the places they went to were chaotic. Therefore, the third brother, who was Niu Yishan's right-hand man, was eavesdropped while helping to purchase supplies. Therefore, although Tao Ran did not know the specific time of Zhou Qingqing's actions, she roughly knew Zhou Qingqing's method of destroying herself the day before yesterday, which was to stun, imprison, frame or destroy. After the money was received, the third brother was constantly being watched. Soon, they even found out what kind of medicine he bought to make people unconscious, and whether it was taken in the form of water. At this point, the other party's basic plan can be easily connected. Tao Ran talked to Wangshu again. She hoped that Wangshu could go deep into the tiger's den with her. It is up to them to cooperate and lure the stupid Zhou Qingqing to reveal something when he gets carried away. Even if this method fails, the kidnapped Wangshu will also become a victim. Those people will have to pay a lot of price. This method can ensure that Wangshu the tree has a small profit. Wangshu readily agreed. Then, the layout begins. In those 2 days, Wangshu once again started to find trouble with Zhou Qingqing and demanded debts. Zhou Qingqing, who had not been wronged for many days, was once again stuck in school, but there was no one to help her. She was splashed with dirty water by Wangshu, and she said harsh words. Before graduation, Wangshu would definitely regret it. After returning that day, Wangshu, who had already installed a probe at his door, discovered that there were a few more people poking around his house that night. Naturally, Wangshu would not give the other party a chance to make a move. He called his brothers to come in and out with him every day. When he got to school, he continued to bully Zhou Qingqing. In the past 2 days, the other party's manpower was missing at his door, and Zhou Qingqing looked at him with a different expression. He expected that Chen Yi's plan was going to succeed, and Zhou Qingqing probably wanted to pack him and Chen Yi away. Tidy. Sure enough, starting this afternoon, there were 2 more people outside his door. On the other side, Chen Jian suddenly had to go on a business trip. This sensitive time made Tao Ran realize that it was unusual. She asked more, but Chen Jian couldn't explain clearly. He only said that something happened to a partner, and the stable business there might be interrupted, so he had better keep an eye on it. Tao Ran had made up his mind, so he did not stop Chen Jian, but was considerate and allowed him to go and take care of business first. The business of the company belongs to Chen Yi, so he can't let the other party interfere with it. If she hadn't already planned it, how could she let her great supporter leave like this? At that time, Tao Ran was even more sure that it would be today. Sure enough, in the afternoon, Su Xiaoxiu's call came as promised. He, Suzuoxu was obviously the person Zhou Qingqing chose to take the bait. She knew there was a tough battle to be fought, so she ate and drank enough in advance. After Suzuoxu called to inform him that the car had arrived, Taoran called the driver at the gate of the community and asked about the specific status of the car. The driver reported the license plate number to him. It happened to be parked directly under the surveillance camera. Then, even if you open the car door, it is difficult to see the true face of the person inside. Taoran called Chen Zhen's trusted uncle Zhong again and asked him to help check the license plate. Sure enough, I was told that the license plate had been cancelled. She informed Wang Shu that the operation was about to begin. Wang Shu contacted his brothers who had arranged for him long ago and asked them to follow Chen Yi near his home. Taoran called the express driver for another 10 minutes and assigned him the most difficult task in history. After finishing all these things, another half hour passed before she went out. When she arrived outside the community, she glanced around. An acquaintance's black car was there, and a car followed by Father Wang's brother was also at the intersection. She felt reassured. In addition to her, Suzuoxu and the driver, the small car in front of her could only accommodate up to 2 more people. If Zhou Qingqing comes, there will only be 1 or 2 threatening opponents at most. Therefore, even if the opponent's plan is not in the prediction and a dangerous situation occurs, with her skills, not to mention grabbing and counterattack, there is no problem if she wants to protect herself. What's more, there are 2 lines of protection vehicles following behind. So, Taoran quickly got into the car after pressing the button on his collar. When the water was handed over, looking at Suzuoxu, whose eyes flickered and dared not look directly at her, she was 90% sure that there was something wrong with the water, so she would not drink a drop. She had known that the medicine prepared by the other party was to be dissolved in water, so she had already prepared a wrist guard and poured all the water on it. After Zhou Qingqing got in the car, she immediately confirmed the effect of the medicine in the water and acted an Xin. The drama started. The button on her body was hollow, and inside was a bug that could be located. The other end was connected to the car behind her, and there was a cloud recording. Therefore, the driver comrade was monitoring the whole process, judging whether Chen Yi was safe or not, and deciding whether to call the police. The driver had already been warned not to call the police as long as she was safe before she sent the signal. So the driver kept following him from a distance. Because he had his position, he was not afraid of losing him at all. After Taoran was arrested in the warehouse, she told the driver to wait and call the police. What she was waiting for was Wang Shu, and the other party revealed himself. The first time she was imprisoned with Wang Shu, she also hinted to him that the other party was having a party and could catch big fish. When the other party started eating and drinking, guessing that the so-called party was not far away, she buried her knees and quickly informed the driver to call the police, and also told the police how to call the police. The driver rushed directly to the police station in a nearby industrial zone and said that he had witnessed a foreign vehicle kidnapping and injuring people. He followed him all the way and now confirmed that the person was in a nearby factory. A dozen gangsters are gathering in the crowd, and it seems that they have done no good at first sight. Please ask them to rescue the hostages as quickly as possible, otherwise the hostages are afraid of their personal safety. I manage my own area, but something happened to my own land? Not missing, but kidnapped and injured, possibly life-threatening? After further investigation, the little girl who was kidnapped was still a celebrity, her family had a well-known company, and her father was a philanthropist. Who else dared to take it lightly? A phone call was made to Chen Jian, the parent, to confirm. The person there said that his daughter had indeed not responded yet and that she was worried. Chen Jian had some connections, made some arrangements, found someone to take care of him, and launched the operation quickly. The police mobilized manpower and showed super efficiency. If you still have questions, answer them in the next chapter.